In October 2008, the unthinkable happened. A small, peaceful island nation, an ally to the West, was suddenly declared a terrorist state. Not by some rogue regime, but by the United Kingdom. This wasn't about bombs or extremism. This was about money, about a financial collapse so monumental, it made history, plunging an entire country into chaos, and shattering the lives of ordinary people like Anna and Bjorn. How did Iceland, a remote nation of just 320,000, become the epicenter of the largest banking collapse the world had ever seen relative to its size? And what did it mean when a country's banks grew so big, they became too big to save? Imagine Iceland, a land of fire and ice, breathtaking landscapes, a population smaller than most major cities. For decades, it was known for fishing, not finance. But in the early 2000s, something fundamental shifted. Its government embraced radical deregulation, unleashing its three major privately owned banks, Kaupthing, Landsbanki, and Glitnir, into the global financial arena. The dream? To transform this quiet island into a high-flying financial hub, a Nordic tiger challenging the old guard. And for a while it worked. The Icelandic banks exploded onto the scene, expanding aggressively across Europe. They borrowed enormous sums from international markets, using this capital to fuel ambitious investments and offer ridiculously high interest rates on online savings accounts like Landsbanki's Icesave. Money poured in from ordinary savers in the UK and Netherlands, lured by the promise of easy returns. The combined assets of these banks ballooned to an unbelievable 9 to 11 times Iceland's entire national gross domestic product by the end of 2007. To put that in perspective, imagine if the entire U.S. banking system was 10 times the size of the U.S. economy. It was an unprecedented, dizzying ascent. But this spectacular growth was built on something incredibly fragile. The mechanism behind this meteoric rise was deceptively simple, yet fatally flawed. The banks were essentially borrowing heavily in foreign currencies, mostly short-term, to fund long-term, often speculative, investments. They were playing a dangerous game of carry trade, where high interest rates in Iceland attracted foreign capital, which in turn artificially propped up the value of the Icelandic krona. It looked like free money, but it created a colossal imbalance. The bank's foreign debt reached a staggering 9.5 trillion Icelandic kroner. That's over 7 times the country's entire GDP. The Central Bank of Iceland, the nation's financial protector, simply wasn't equipped to act as a lender of last resort for a banking system that had become many times larger than the national economy itself. It was like a minnow trying to bail out a whale. Before the global storm hit, cracks were appearing. By March 2008, the cost of insuring deposits in Landsbanki and Kaupthing was already spiking, a clear red flag that the market smelled trouble. But few listened. Economist Thorvaldur Gylfason famously described Icelandic bankers at the time as kicking up their heels like cows in spring, as if there were no tomorrow and as if there were no financial supervision in Iceland. They were intoxicated by their own success, oblivious to the precarious foundation they stood upon. Their immense foreign debt was largely short-term, meaning it constantly needed to be rolled over or refinanced. And when the music stopped, there would be nowhere to go. The tomorrow Thorvaldur spoke of arrived with brutal force on September 15, 2008. The collapse of Lehman Brothers in the United States sent shockwaves across the globe, triggering a catastrophic credit crunch. Suddenly, international money markets froze. The taps of easy credit, which Iceland's banks depended on for their very survival, were shut off. Panic set in. On September 25th, Glitnir Bank, one of the big three, desperately requested emergency financing from the central bank. The government, in a last-ditch effort, announced it would nationalize Glitnir. But it was too little, too late. The dominoes were already falling. On October 6th, the government enacted emergency laws, giving the Financial Supervisory Authority, or FME, unprecedented powers to take control of financial institutions. The krona plunged 30% that day. The next day, October 7th, the FME seized Landsbanki. This is where the story takes a truly shocking turn. The UK Treasury, fearing for its citizens' deposits in Landsbanki's Icesave accounts, took drastic action. It froze Landsbanki's assets and copped things within the UK. But it wasn't just a financial move. Nation pleading for calm, as the UK controversially invoked anti-terrorism legislation against Iceland. Yes, you heard that right. A NATO ally, labeled a terrorist state to protect British savers. By October 9th, Kaupthing, the last of the three giants, fell. Iceland's entire banking system, once the envy of the world, had imploded within a single week. The country, in essence, went bankrupt. Unlike many other nations that bailed out their banks, Iceland made a defiant, unprecedented choice. Its banks were too big to save. They were allowed to fail, with losses imposed on international creditors. But the cost to ordinary Icelanders was devastating. Remember Anna and Bjorn? Like thousands of young couples, they were lured by lower interest rates on foreign currency mortgages for their modest home. When the krona crashed, plummeting over 70% in a short period, their mortgage debt, denominated in euros or dollars, suddenly doubled, even tripled. Overnight, their salaries, however, remained in a now almost worthless krona. Their dream home became an insurmountable nightmare of debt, and the constant fear of foreclosure haunted them. The entire economy collapsed. The stock market plummeted over 90%. Icelandic pension funds, the bedrock of retirement security, lost an astonishing 480 billion kroner. Ordinary citizens saw their life savings and future security evaporate. Unemployment soared, and almost every company faced bankruptcy. The GDP dropped by 10% between late 2007 and late 2010. The outrage boiled over into what became known as the kitchenware revolution. Thousands of Icelanders, including Anna and Bjorn, banging pots and pans, demanding accountability. These protests ultimately forced the resignation of Prime Minister Geir H. Hard's government in January 2009. Iceland, a country that once dreamed of financial dominance, was now on its knees, needing a $2.1 billion bailout from the IMF. A reminder of the perils of unchecked ambition and the illusion of limitless growth. It's a testament to the devastating human cost when financial systems become divorced from the real economy, and when supervision fails. Yet, the nation's unique decision to let its banks fail, to prosecute bankers, and to rebuild from the ground up offers a complex, ongoing lesson in resilience. But even after the dust settled, deeper questions remained. Years later, the Panama Papers revealed Iceland had the highest per capita number of names implicated, with 3 of 5 European cabinet ministers involved being Icelandic, hinting that the underlying issues of financial oversight ran far deeper than just the banks. The scars of that day a nation went bankrupt run deep, a chilling warning to any country tempted by the siren call of reckless financial glory.